What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming to Politics and Life. I hope all of you guys are having a blessed day. Like, comment, hit that subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. Road to 800 subscribers. Here we go. We are reacting to a few of my favorite YouTubers, and it's Don't Walk Run. They produce a tier list for the Democrats, worst to best. And then they talk about Kamala Harris and the other Democrats and their lies they're perpetrating about voter ID laws. It's literally ridiculous at this point how stupid the Democrat Party thinks everyday Americans are. But you know what? People aren't falling for it anymore, besides a very, very small minority of people. Anyways, let's get the video started. Please like, comment, hit that subscribe button.
This is the Democrat Party. According to a recent CNN poll, the Democrats' favorability rating stands at just 29%, an all-time record low in the history of CNN's polling. And a big reason that it's so low is that the Democrats don't have a clear leader. So I did some research, and I assembled a docket of the top 12 contenders to lead the party, and we're going to rank them in this handy-dandy tier list. And right off the bat, we won't be needing these. I guess the best place to start would be Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, arguably the most powerful Democrat in Washington, D.C.
We will win! We will win! We will win!
The left is just nuts these days. They are the party of violence. They are the party of rioting. They are the party of defunding the police plus attacking the police. They don't have morals these days, I feel like. And you see them at these protests where they just don't even know what they're even protesting. They can't even define what fascism means. They're just given talking points and they think they're part of some big movement when in reality they just look like freaking clowns.
We will win! We will win! We won't rest! We won't rest! We won't rest! We won't rest!
Obviously, Chuck Schumer goes in the F tier. Next is Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly. Recently, Kelly announced that he was making a life change.
Hey folks, Mark Kelly.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I'm driving to work for the last time in my Tesla. When I bought this thing, I didn't think it was going to become a political issue.
Hey, Sharon.
Oh, are you afraid a domestic terrorist is going to firebomb your car?
Every time I get in this car in the last 60 days or so, it reminds me of just how much damage Elon Musk and Donald Trump is doing to our country.
Oh.
Talking about slashing Social Security, cutting healthcare
They
benefits.
literally have said this every election that Trump was going to cut Social Security and Medicare. They are looking into these corrupt agencies where millions upon millions of our taxpayer funds have been funneling into these illegals, I would say, into corrupt politicians, and it doesn't benefit the American people at all. So they're just literally repeating the same talking points.
Benefits for poor people, for seniors.
It's not true. It's bullshit.
And Tommy Wiseau is right. It is bull.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question.
President Trump has been unequivocally clear on this. He is going to protect Social Security and Medicare benefits and Medicaid.
That's what I'm saying. Any person, a Democrat, all Democrats that protest against this just have not been watching real news or listening to what is actually being said from Trump and his administration. They watch CNN, MSNBC, and they lie. And these clowns just fall for it.
For hardworking Americans who paid into these entitlement programs.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
The only people talking about slashing Social Security and healthcare benefits are losers like Mark Kelly, who, again, is lying in an effort to scare seniors into voting for Democrats. But that's nothing new. So what vehicle did Senator Kelly...
And if you see these women at these rallies that are supposedly happening around the country, the Democrats, they're all old white liberal women who either look like they have personal issues going on in their lives, or two, just retired and have nothing better to do, or just have no friends. And these women are just disgusting. The behavior they show as adults is just disgusting.
Replaces Tesla with.
All right, here I am with my new ride, Chevy, good old Chevy Tahoe.
And that new Chevy Tahoe gets up to 15 miles per gallon city, 20 highway. I guess climate change isn't a factor anymore. But great job, Senator Kelly. You're saving the world 1 gallon at a time. D tier. Next is Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut. An hour before Trump's address to Congress, Murphy went on MSNBC to brag that he wasn't going to attend.
I assume it was not a light or easy or quick decision to make, to decide not to attend this speech tonight.
Well, listen, I honor everybody's decision to attend, and I think it's right that many people are there, exercising, their ability to protest. Listen, I'm up for saving the country, but I'm also engaged in self-care and
These same Democrats care about the country, yet they are fighting for these illegals and these corrupt judges on the left, fighting for these illegals to stay in our country where they wreak havoc on the American people. These Democrats are such frauds, the politicians.
Chris Murphy is so weak that he can't sit and listen to Trump speak for an hour. What a loser.
This democracy could be gone. I don't think we have a year to save American democracy.
This moment is different, that this threat is unique. And to me, we don't have another year to fight this attempt to destroy democracy. Our democracy might be gone in 6 months.
We are at risk of losing our democracy to the billionaire takeover of our government. And I don't know that we have 6 months. I think our democracy could be gone if we don't rally the public in a matter of months.
If we don't mobilize America right now against these billionaires and against these attempts to destroy our democracy, then by the summer, the democracy might be gone. We might not even notice, and the Trump family might rule forever.
In other words, it's the same crap the Democrats have been pushing for the last 10 years.
Yep.
Never gets old. Senator Murphy goes in the F tier.
So
Next
terrible,
is
all of them.
Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow. The Democrats
It's just embarrassing at this point. Like, they should all just be Fs. And I mean, I feel like the best talker, if you want to say Democrats, is Gavin Newsom, my state governor. But you know what? He still sucks. He's going to get recalled. There's no way he's going to get reelected ever again. I think these Democrats are toast. The politicians, they've been running all these states into the ground. California is a mess. We pay the most on taxes. He's done nothing to help our state.
been trying to prop her up
He's
by
the
getting
best
her
talker.
booked on CNN and MSNBC to give her name recognition for her Senate run in 2026. But there's only one thing that you really need to know about Mallory.
This is Project 2025. Okay. It says, quote, "We believe in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people." That sounds pretty boring. The truth is, there's only one way to stop him. How do we do it? Weaponize the Department of Justice to go after political opponents.
Wow, that seems illegal,
Now, by the way,
doesn't it?
I know.
Holy
Lizard
moly.
Lady McMorrow goes in the D tier. Next is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
This one is so disgusting. Jasmine Crockett, I cannot stand the sound of that woman's voice. She is a damn witch. And the fact that, hey, hope you're having a great night. Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, it should be the F. She is the worst, I think, especially when she talked about Greg Abbott. Yeah, she is, I think, the worst person in Congress's history. I thought it was AOC, but no, she takes the cake, I think, easily. And she's just so dumb.
Recently, she made a pretty distasteful joke about Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
She's on crack.
We in these hot ass Texas streets, honey.
Who talks like that?
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So
This woman is a representative of Congress. The fact that someone voted for this idiot, I mean, I sit and sigh, and I always just like shake my head anytime I hear this woman speak or just open her mouth. It's pure cringe, and it's just Trump, 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 and then she'll defend her side. She literally just said we need immigrants. I think it was yesterday on camera because they pick our cotton. Crazy.
So yes.
So as you know, Governor Abbott was paralyzed below the waist when an oak tree fell on him when he was jogging back in 1984. But Jasmine Crockett, she swears that when she called him Governor Hot Wheels, that it wasn't about his disability. I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. Literally, the next line I said was that he was a hot-ass mess, referencing his terrible policies. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition. Aw, Jasmine Crockett thinks you're as stupid as she is.
what is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the up, because I'm ready to get on with it.
Jasmine Crockett goes in the F tier. Next is Senator Cory Booker. Recently, Booker went on his social media.
He's just as dumb. Cory Booker, holy moly. Like when you see all these people brought up, I forgot about a couple of them or just haven't thought about them. They are literally ran by the dumbest people in our country's history. Can you imagine the founding fathers these days? Like even just being able to sit across from the Democrats these days?
Accounts to make the following special announcement.
Yes.
I'm about to go to the Senate floor where I intend to be recognized. And when I am.
One more statement. Yes, I agree with Hope. Yeah, Sheriff Chad Bianco for governor of California. Yes, I actually support that 100%. And I think California is done. I mean, everywhere I go, it's Trump. Unless you're just like in two, I feel like cities that are really progressive. But besides that, most of the state of California is red. The amount of Trump signs I even see in Sacramento and other areas that are considered liberal, I think it's not even comparable at this point.
I am not going to stop speaking. I'm going to not stop standing. I'm going to go for as long as I'm physically able to go. And so we all have a responsibility, I believe, to do something different, to cause, as John Lewis said, good trouble, and that includes me.
But Cory Booker going on the Senate floor and talking for hours wasn't good.
Oh, real quick, Hope, you were the one that actually told me about how Pam Bondi wasn't one to trust since the beginning. I remember you said that, and I think Laura Loomer has been saying that. What a huge disappointment she has been. I'm sorry, I was for Cash also I was very excited about when he got nominated, but I don't trust. Bondi's the worst. I think that Trump needs to fire her ASAP and that she's bringing like down the credibility of the Trump administration, especially not releasing the Epstein files. That's just BS, I think, or the Diddy files. No one really has been arrested that I want. Like they have so much on Adam Schiff. I feel like they can arrest him if they wanted to right now.
Where's your backpack? You have my key. Sorry. Backpack.
Trouble as it was well within the Senate rules.
One of the stories that he's highlighting is just the high cost of living in America right now. Take a listen to part of that speech.
I ask America to please ask yourself this financial question. Am I better off than I was 71 days ago? Am I better off or worse off? He promised to lower your grocery prices, they're higher. He promised I'll be a better steward of the economy. It's worse than we inherited. Over and over, he's breaking.
Sorry, guys, my girlfriend needed her keys real quick, and I was trying to help her find her. Now, find them. Now I'm back.
Promises and doing outrageous things.
And Cory Booker is lying over and over again, especially about prices. Eggs have dropped from $8.18 a dozen to $3.26 a dozen. And inflation during Trump's first full month in office went from 0.5% month over month to 0.2%. In the end, Booker broke the record for talking the longest while on the Senate floor.
I agree.
What an incredible accomplishment. I'm just kidding. Nothing was accomplished. Cory Booker goes in the F tier.
What Cory Booker did over the last 24 hours may have changed the course.
Who else think that Frank Luntz, pollster and political analyst, is the fakest, dumbest, most useless, you don't even care what he thinks at this point, analyst when it comes to polling? He actually predicted, I believe, that Trump would lose, but I don't know. I don't believe anything he says ever. And he's actually promoting Cory Booker after that dumb, long speech that he wasted on the floor.
Of political history. I watched a lot of it. I listened to words. I listened to phrases.
Oh, well, in that case, Booker goes in the C tier. What was I thinking? Next is California Governor Gavin Newsom. Last year, it was almost a sure thing that Newsom would step up and help lead the Democrats out of the doldrums. But he's too busy working on his career as a podcaster. Gavin Newsom goes in the D tier.
F.
Senator Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Recently, Bernie Sanders hit the road on what he's calling the Fighting Oligarchy Tour, which is the same grift that he's been pushing for decades.
Trump wants to give massive tax breaks to billionaires.
I'm pretty sure if you guys watch the RFK hearing, RFK exposes actually this guy right here, Bernie Sanders, has taken the most from Big Pharma, who pays him off. So literally he collects exactly what he's complaining about. He does the same exact thing.
Billionaires, they own mansions all over the world. They go on vacations to their own private islands.
Like you.
Billionaires, tax breaks to billionaires. Billionaires, billions, billionaires.
So what's the plan? How do we fight back against the oligarchy?
Well, I hear you telling people out there, fight back. What do you mean, though? How do they fight back?
Well, that's the question. We're working on it right now.
Bernie Sanders has been in Congress for 34 years, and that's the best answer he's got? Good luck, Bernie bros. F tier.
Yeah, I think
if you really want to be a CEO, want to be an entrepreneur, you should take the first step. Create the LLC. It doesn't.
I do think we are way better off now under Trump right now, and I think that these tariffs are going to pay off big time.
Next is former Secretary of Transportation and former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg. There was speculation that Buttigieg might run for Senate or for governor in Michigan, but ultimately he decided not to, probably because he is famously from Indiana and would be called a carpetbagger and an opportunist. Of course, Mayor Pete's biggest accomplishment under the Biden administration was successfully disappearing for months because of paternity leave. And if you criticized it, you were somehow homophobic and misogynist. Mayor Pete heads to the D tier. Next,
these Democrats are so terrible. I mean, the fact that Cory Booker's in the C column is a joke. Just an F across the board, bro.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. For years, progressives have been attempting to wish-cast AOC into the top tier of the Democrat Party. AOC drops nightmare news on Trump and Republicans. Yeah, literally no such news was dropped.
Yeah.
AOC goes viral with speech of the year. AOC puts Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer on notice. Yeah, they don't care. When it comes to accomplishments, AOC ranks in the bottom 20 House members. Not the bottom 20%. The bottom 20 out of 435. She's basically getting paid $174,000 a year to throw temper tantrums on the House floor.
Shameful. The greed.
And despite being a do-nothing, know-nothing, loudmouth drama queen.
And the crazy part is the crazy left is the ones that are taking over the party and like the voter base. And it's insane. But I mean, I cheer it on because she's going to wake up more moderate Democrats and send them our way, because the left has just gone full like tyrannical crazies at this point. I really believe that. Yeah,
she's somehow considered to be a political rock star with Democrats and the future of their party. So I guess we'll put AOC in the C tier, I guess. Next is Governor Tim Walz. Recently, Walz hit the road, reminding America why he was the worst vice presidential nominee in United States history.
But he's what you call the lowest of low testosterone. I wouldn't even consider him a man. I'll call him a soy boy, because I mean, he was the governor that put tampons in boys' restroom. He was the one whose family helped during the BLM riots and gave the exact coordinates out so they can avoid the people that were there rioting. So they They gave out the coordinates, his daughter, to the BLM riders so they could avoid police and know where they were going to be at a certain time. So they worked against the cops. So Tim Walz and his whole family is disgusting.
I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government, so when all these things come up every single day, we've got an alternate press conference telling the truth about what things are happening, know what's going out.
And so, first of all, it's clear that Tim Walz doesn't know what a shadow government is, but saying that he thinks that there should be one, it's really problematic.
Yeah.
We saw just recently Donald Trump's executive order to make it more difficult, specifically to women, trying to make it more difficult for women to be able to vote. We see one of the first things they do is try and restrict the vote.
Walz is referring to President Trump's executive order aimed at preserving.
Yeah, I'm going to pause it before it explains it. This is just showing voter ID or some type of document that proves you are an American citizen. I don't see that as voter suppression. These Democrats, man, they have no soul. They just
and
think you're
protecting
stupid.
the integrity of American elections. It calls for requiring voters to provide documentary proof of United States citizenship in order to fill out the National Mail Voter Registration Form. This proof would include a United States passport, a real ID, or an official military ID card, or valid federal or state government issued photo ID that indicates the applicant is a U.S. citizen. In other words, this action isn't going to prevent women from voting unless that woman isn't an American citizen. In the meantime, the state of Wisconsin just voted overwhelmingly to amend the Wisconsin Constitution to require voters to show photo ID to vote, which means that the majority of voters, Democrats and Republicans alike, know that he's full of it. And with that, Tampon Tim goes in the F tier.
Yeah.
And finally, former Vice President Kamala Harris. Recently, Harris took to the stage at the Human X AI conference.
So we did DoorDash because I wanted Doritos. And they were about, the red carpet part was about to start. Nobody wanted to leave to go to the grocery store. So it was DoorDash. And I'm thinking about this, so I was willing to give up whatever might be the tracking of Kamala Harris's particular fondness for nacho cheese Doritos for the sake of getting a big bag of Doritos as I watched the Oscars.
Man, if that doesn't reinforce America's decision to vote for Trump. But wait, there's more.
At what point do we also uplift and highlight the consumer's right to also expect, and you can debate with me if it should be a right, I think it should, to expect that the innovation would also be weighted in terms of solving their everyday problems, which are beyond my craving for Doritos.
So with that, Kamala Harris goes in the D tier. D for dumb. And I think that does
a Cory Booker AOC ticket for 2020. That'd be hilarious. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys another one by Don't Walk Run that came out today. It was actually pretty funny, and I'm gonna debunk it as well because this actually happened in my state. So I'm gonna show you guys. Then we'll show you how Democrats really think about these voter suppression laws, because these indoctrinated college kids, you'll see exactly why they actually believe this, because fake news pushes it. But anyways, let's get started. Timu Barack Obama versus voter ID.
This is Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th president of the United States. Recently, President Trump signed an executive order titled Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections. Trump ordered the Election Assistance Commission to amend its National Mail Voter Registration Form to require applicants to provide documentary proof of United States citizenship. And none of this should be a problem, right? Right?
Almost immediately after President Trump signed the executive order, legal experts around the country sounded the alarm.
About what?
4 separate lawsuits have now been filed to block the order from going into effect.
It all makes sense. They think we're stupid, bruh. These Democrat judges come in, they tell them, bring back the illegals. They let them vote in your elections. And then these Democrats are also suing Trump, not only on these illegals coming back, that Trump's saving us from. Also, the vote, yeah, it's just stupid. The voter ID is what it comes down to. They don't want ID so illegals can vote. I saw it in the state of California, my state. They didn't require any ID when I walked up and voted. That is what it's all about. So on one end, they're fighting for the illegals to come back to be able to vote. On the other end, they're making up these lies. Oh, black people can't afford to get IDs or don't have sources to get IDs. And I'm going to show you a video after this of some liberal idiots saying that. And then they go to the Bronx and ask black people, hey, is it hard for you to have ID? They're like, no. What the hell? Who says that? Everyone I know has an ID.
Recent was filed this past week by 19 attorneys general.
That's right. 4 separate lawsuits against Trump because his executive action requires that a citizen filling out a form prove that they are a U.S. citizen on a federal voter registration form for U.S. citizens.
So many Americans of voting age don't have the documents that the new order requires in order to vote.
An ID.
For example, millions of Americans don't have access to their birth certificates.
Why not?
Oh.
Also, you can order a new one. It's pretty easy.
About 50% of Americans don't have a passport.
And
millions of people would be required to present multiple documents if they've changed their name, whether because of marriage or for some other reason.
This is just laziness. If you're not able to get these, you are either stupid, lazy, or both. One of the two, or both.
I believe Trump is making people suffer the indignity of having to present multiple documents. Damn you, orange man!
And as is often the case with voter suppression, these new restrictions would disproportionately impact minority voters and low-income voters.
There it is. The soft bigotry of low expectations. Thanks, MSNBC. Anyway, that claim stems from a study by the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU, a study that was conducted in 2006. The Brennan Center claims that minority citizens are less likely to possess government-issued photo identification. According to the survey, African American citizens also disproportionately lack photo ID and claim that 25% of African American voting age citizens have no current government-issued photo ID. And for some reason, the Brennan Center for Justice has never done a follow-up survey in the 19 years since their original. Why? Well, they would probably get a different result that doesn't fit their narrative, so moving on.
You mentioned birth certificates. As I recall, the EO doesn't even allow a birth certificate as good enough proof.
Fact check false. The executive order states an identification document compliant with the requirements of the Real ID Act of 2005 that indicates that the applicant is a citizen of the United States, and a birth certificate meets that Real ID document requirement. Dude couldn't even do the bare minimum of reading the Trump executive action. But I hit Command F and I searched birth certificate and it didn't show up. Trump bad. Anyway, one of the plaintiffs in the 4 lawsuits against President Trump is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who had this to say about Trump's EO.
Donald Trump issued an unconstitutional and illegal executive order. We are challenging that unconstitutional and illegal executive order in court, and we are going to win. Donald Trump doesn't have the power to decide how federal elections are governed. That power is given to the voters, state legislatures,
what's up with this body
and
language?
Congress itself, pursuant to the election clause in the United States Constitution.
But Trump is not unlawfully telling states how to conduct their elections. Only citizens are allowed to vote, right? So this federal form is asking for proof of said citizenship instead of simply relying on the honor system.
What is the so-called SAVE Act allegedly about? The Republicans are lying to the American people. They claim that the so-called SAVE Act is about making sure that only American citizens can vote.
The SAVE Act, i.e. the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, would require everyone registering to vote to provide a document verifying their citizenship. But dollar store Barack Obama isn't interested in election integrity.
The Constitution requires that only American citizens can vote. Every state requires that. Right now, it's illegal.
Not true. Not true. State of California didn't require voter ID during the last election. That is a lie right there.
For even a lawful permanent resident to vote in federal elections, illegal.
Yes, but the problem is that many states, including Hakeem Jeffries' home state of New York, has extremely questionable policies when it comes to voter registration. For example, when you fill out the New York State voter registration form, it asks you for your New York State DMV number and the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. But if you don't have those, and if you're a citizen, why wouldn't you? New York State gives you options. If you do not have a DMV or Social Security number, you may use a valid photo ID. But what type of ID does that include? It doesn't say, does it? It could mean anything. New York also allows applicants to use a current utility bill as ID. You can generally open an account for utilities like gas, internet, electricity, and water, even if you are undocumented. You can also use a bank statement. But undocumented people can get bank accounts using passports and ITIN numbers. Paycheck. Yeah, this is fine, because no undocumented immigrant ever gets a job or a paycheck because, there are laws against such thing. It's illegal.
So-called SAVE Act is not about voter identification. It's about voter suppression.
Democrats have been spewing this nonsense for decades,
They were literally the party of the KKK. They didn't want blacks to have any rights. They fought to keep slavery while the Republicans fought to end slavery with Abraham Lincoln. How is this not common knowledge as well among Democrat voters? It just blows my mind. And then the representatives of the Democrat Party, oh, so dumb.
Which is ironic since they're the ones that practically invented it. But requiring proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in our country's elections is not remotely voter suppression.
It will limit the ability of married women who no longer go by their maiden name, as is the case with tens of millions of women in America, actually being able to vote.
How?
Unless they get a specific type of identification.
Then maybe get that specific type of identification? I honestly don't see what the problem is. So the claim here is that married women are helpless and won't be able to vote because they won't have access to their marriage license or something. But if Democrats are concerned that language in the bill, or lack thereof, is going to disenfranchise voters, then maybe, as legislators, they can attempt to change the language of the bill. Do your jobs. But they won't, because Democrats aren't interested in fixing problems. They only want to resist. But listen to Leader Jeffries making the absurd claim that a driver's license proves that you're a citizen.
It's clear, based on a driver's license, for instance, that they are a citizen that is eligible to vote.
Fact check false. New York State's green light law allows all New Yorkers to apply for a standard non-commercial driver's license or learner's permit, regardless of their citizenship or lawful status in the United States. Your license or permit will not look different from other standard New York driver's licenses. All standard New York State driver's licenses look the same regardless of the proof documents you provide when you apply.
There are men and women in uniform who serve this country, are sacrificing, risking their lives in theaters of conflict all across America.
Wow.
And you know what? Under the so-called SAVE Act, their military identification would not be an acceptable form of ID. Are you kidding me?
Hakeem Jeffries is a liar because the SAVE Act specifically states that documentary proof includes an applicant's official United States military identification card
Literally just
together
lying.
with a United States military record of service showing that the
But that's the problem. These Democrat liberal women don't watch these type of shows. They watch MSNBC and CNN, and they will not report on the truth. So people will fall for this crap. And it's so easily debunked.
applicant's place of birth was in the United States.
Military identification is not acceptable under the so-called SAVE Act. It's a voter suppression bill. This is an effort to distract and to try to weaponize and divide. This is the Republican playbook. We're not going for it.
What a piece of garbage.
That's the end of that video. Now let's go to X and show you guys what liberals think of minority voters and how they can't get IDs. That they were too stupid, uneducated, or just, I guess, they don't have jobs to get IDs. And it is very obnoxious that they think this way, and racist, I would say. And this is the party of tolerance. Well, we're the party of racist bigots.
Voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far to say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for Black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for Black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works. A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data. For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of Black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African Americans.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask Black.
Well, let's get this straight. Black people are too dumb to access the internet. They don't have phones. They don't know how to use the internet to get an ID. They are too poor. They are all felons. They don't live in an area where there's no DMVs, and they don't have jobs. So, they just go around without IDs everywhere and get homes. Oh no, they don't have homes or cars because they're all homeless. What an ignorant, racist way to think. And this is what your liberal, young, indoctrinated women think. And it's disgusting. But here, they're going to go to Harlem right now and ask Black people if they can get voter ID. So stupid.
Black people, their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any Black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID? That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. That's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
It's because the Democrats want these illegals to vote, because if you don't need ID in elections, then that anyone can vote.
Know any Black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy cameras?
I know, right? That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that Black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's that on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Did you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that Black people, especially poor Black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to
See, they're the racists.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data? Mm-hmm. You can access the internet
Unlimited.
with unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of Black people?
They're racist.
They're pretty much ignorant.
That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I
Very,
hear a
very
lot.
ignorant.
Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Racist.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you know, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
Judging somebody, like
Stupidity,
when
yes.
you judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you
Colleges.
have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are?" Are you cool?
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, "Can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are?" Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
They're all Republicans. I guarantee all those people are Republicans because I've actually heard minority voters, woke, uneducated voters say yes. This is voter suppression. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that reaction. Love the new background, I gotta say. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace. Talk to you guys.